Okay, this video is going to cover past FRC games going from 2018 all the way through to 2024. It is important to know what has been done in the past because when we look at the game that we're going to be playing this year, we want to be able to make comparisons to previous games to see how those were played and to see what lessons were learned from those and what things we can repeat, because we will find out in FRC there are really not a lot of new challenges to solve. Most things from games have been done before, or at least very similar, and most problems have been solved before in a very effective way. It's just a matter of finding out how has each problem been done the best in the past, and then trying to duplicate what people have done in the past with success or modify it and make it our own. So we're going to look at games from 2018, 19, 20. There is no 2021 game due to COVID, and then 22, 23, and 24. So starting with 2018, Power Up. This game involved tall robots for the most part and picking up these power cubes that were called, which is basically a milk crate covered in that yellow skin, and then placing them on some teeter-totters. So if we watch the game animation video here.
2018 FIRST Robotics Competition, and this year's game, FIRST Power Up. Two alliances of video game characters and their human operators are trapped in an arcade game. To escape, alliances use power cubes to control switches and to scale, pass power cubes through the exchange for power-ups, and ascend to face the boss. Teams may preload up to one power cube per robot. Additional power cubes are available in the power cube piles, along the fence nearest the scale, and in each alliance portal. At the start of the match, the plates of the scale and the switches are randomized. During the first 15 seconds, robots are autonomous. They work to cross their auto line and place power cubes on the switch and the scale. Alliances who successfully own their switch and have 3 robots cross the auto line will receive 1 ranking point. During the following 2-minute and 15-second teleoperated period, human operators remotely control their robots. They continue to gather power cubes to place on the scale and the switches to gain ownership for the longest time, earning points for each second of ownership. Human operators behind the collect power cubes from the exchange. They can deliver them back to the robots through the return or to their vault. In the vault, power cubes may be traded in for 3 power-ups. Alliances choose when in the match to activate each power-up to gain a temporary advantage during the match. The forced power-up gives an alliance ownership of their switch, the scale, or both. The boost power-up increases scoring for 10 seconds for either their switch, the scale, or both. And near the end of the match, Levitate earns one member of the alliance a free climb. Other alliance members climb from their platform. If all 3 members successfully climb, the alliance can face the boss and gain an additional ranking point. The alliance that earns the most points wins the match and defeats the boss.
So what we really liked about this game, and I think this is my favorite game that I've been a part of, it had a really nice balance of scoring, particularly at the levels that we were playing at. When it got to the championship level, games were not as good as they were at kind of the mid-levels. But for the levels that we were playing at, the games are very exciting. There was a lot to do for lots of different types of robots, and it was a really fun game to watch with a nice balance of scoring. it did prove that controlling the scale in the middle was the key to winning the match. It was very obvious if you had two alliances and only one of them had a robot that could actually do the scale, the team that could do the scale was going to win. There was really no way to compete against that. If your team could not do the scale, they could just drop one cube on there at the beginning of the match and they would basically win the match just because of that. So that was one way that kind of unbalanced it, but when it got competitive on the scale, things were very exciting. Lots of strategy to be played by the human player because of those power-ups, which is kind of a unique thing we haven't seen done again since then. So that was very exciting to see, and knowing when to play those and how to play them was a fun part of the game. There was an interesting variable in there. It was really exciting to watch if it was evenly matched. It was definitely literally seesaw battles back and forth for control of the switches and scales. So both teams directly affected what the other team did, which was a lot of fun. And a strong team could really blow out a weaker team. You could just take control of everything and the other team would essentially not be able to do anything at all. That was another feature about that. Some of the key elements here, it was a video game theme, which was fun. Time-based scoring, I think that's the only time we've ever seen that in a game, but it made it interesting. So you were scored for basically how long you were in control of the elements. It was a pick and place game, so we're going to define basically pick and place versus shooting games. This is a pick and place type game where you have to pick an object up and place it in a certain spot. There was only a single game piece to deal with, which was that cube. So you basically place the cubes on seesaws to tilt the balance in your team's favor. And then at the end game, you had to climb on a very narrow bar. The bar was only about 1 foot wide, so you could not fit two robots on that bar at the same time, unless you got creative with how you did it. There was another interesting aspect to this where you could actually do buddy climbs as well, where you could have one robot would grab onto the bar and then extend something off the robot that a second robot could grab onto and basically climb off of that robot instead of the bar. And we'll see that play out in this match here. This is from the finals at Western. This is us at 4903 right here, playing with Villanova and St. Anne's. Now this really shows what a strong alliance can do, because we are three flawed robots playing on an alliance together where everybody complements each other very well. So we've got two robots that can do the scale but not do it very fast or very well, but the two of them working together can keep up with what this robot can do. Our role here is just to control this switch and stuff as many cubes as we can into the vault so we can work towards these power-ups and keep possession of this while they try to team up to keep possession of the scale here. And you'll see they just barely stay ahead. You can tell we are in control of both these elements right now, so that's why we are earning points. So now what's going to happen is this robot's going to come over here and try to take possession of this switch on our side. So they tilt it back in their way, so now we have to move over here to start trying to battle with them. So we basically get into a battle here. They come over to help us out. We tip this back over in our favor, and now we're in a race over here to see who can put the most cubes on this. And now it looks like we have won this race here. We're still in possession over here. We've actually tipped that one on this side over a little bit here. They've taken that back. So it's basically just a battle. You have to react to what the other team is doing all the time. If they go after your switch, you need to tip it back. Now they're trying to take this back again. So they're trying to take possession of it here. They're coming over to help out and put more cubes in here. We're just kind of hanging out here, and now we're getting into the climbs. So Villanova is able to go up here, grab onto the bar, swing their little extension bar out, and now this is really cool. We're going to go up here and we're going to grab onto this little piece of their robot right here, and we are actually able to get a second climb. This is our devastating move in the playoffs here, because we could actually do a double climb and get an extra bunch of points out of that. That made us to be a great, formidable playoff alliance. We were the number 5 alliance. We ended up winning this tournament. That is our only win. You see everybody freaking out here because we know we won. So that is a very cool event there. So that was a really fun, probably the most exciting event we've been in as a team. So a lot of fun there. So that was the 2018 event.